Okay, let's jump right into this explainer on the SASB standards for home builders. Today, we're zeroing in on a pretty fascinating, high-stakes topic, land use and ecological impacts. We're going to explore exactly why ecosystem disruption isn't just an environmental talking point anymore. It's actually an absolutely crucial financial variable that every builder and investor needs to be tracking. So, here's a fundamental question for the entire industry. What is the true cost of breaking new ground? Because, for home builders, ecological disruption triggers a massive ripple effect. We aren't just talking about moving some dirt and pouring concrete. We are talking about cascading financial and reputational risks that can quite literally make or break a development project. The crucial contrast here really comes down to site selection. On one side, you've got your greenfield sites. That's previously undeveloped land. And sure, while they might look like this beautiful blank canvas, they carry severe ecosystem disruption and an absolute minefield of regulatory risks. On the other side, we have redevelopment sites. Think brownfields and grayfields. By choosing previously developed land, builders strategically minimize their ecological footprint and can completely bypass those really costly financial risks.
Moving on to Section 1, the disruption, immediate ecological impacts.
So regardless of the site you choose, certain baseline disruptions are always looming. During construction, builders face the immediate threat of land and soil contamination, not to mention the immense logistical headache of mismanaging construction waste. But here's the real silent killer: excessive strain on local water resources. The SASB standards actually highlight that in high water stress regions, a shortage isn't just an ecological red flag. It translates directly into depreciating land values and massive permitting roadblocks.
Let's pivot to Section 2, the stakes, financial and brand risks.
Because these environmental disruptions, they have teeth. When environmental regulations are violated, it triggers this rapid, cascading sequence of consequences. We're talking costly fines and severe regulatory penalties. And it goes way beyond just the initial fine. You start facing severe permitting delays, which extends your project timeline, and that directly leads to decreased financial returns. Ultimately, these mistakes eat straight into the bottom line, all while causing significant brand damage and a severe loss of public trust. And this brilliantly illustrates the long-term stakes right out of the SASB standard source material. It reads, "Entities with repeated violations or a history of negative ecological impacts may find seeking permits and approvals from local communities difficult, thereby decreasing future revenue and market share." Honestly, this is the ultimate penalty. If you lose the trust of the local community because of poor environmental management, you don't just lose a single permit, you effectively destroy your future revenue and your market share in that region. So what's the fix? That brings us to Section 3, the strategy, smart growth and mitigation. A primary smart growth strategy here is leaning into redevelopment sites. The standards define these really precisely. They include brownfields, which are properties complicated by the potential presence of hazardous substances, and grayfields. Grayfields are previously developed sites mostly covered by impervious materials. Think of an old parking lot or an abandoned mall. Utilizing these sites acts as a literal shield against those greenfield regulatory risks, while actually improving your future growth opportunities. It's a real win-win. Now, on to Section 4, measuring sustainable land use. It's one thing to talk about smart growth, right? But investors need hard data. This table shows the exact quantitative metrics that provide operational transparency. First up, IFHB 160A.1 tracks the actual number of lots and homes delivered on those redevelopment sites. Then, IFHB 160A.2 tracks development in high baseline water stress regions, which clearly reveals a builder's water-related risk exposure. And finally, IFHB 160A.3 measures the total monetary losses from environmental legal proceedings, tracked right in hard currency. Looking at the broader SASB sustainability disclosure framework, we can see exactly where these land use metrics sit. Tracking these specific codes, especially that third one regarding monetary losses, creates a totally undeniable ledger of a builder's environmental and financial competence. It strips away all the PR spin and reveals whether a company is truly managing its ecological impacts or if they're just paying the price for regulatory failures. But SASB doesn't just look at quantitative data. It actually requires an active, integrated process. Metric IFB HB 160A.4 provides a clear three-step roadmap for builders. Step 1 is site selection, meaning actively assessing ecological sensitivity and prioritizing those gray fields and brown fields. Step 2 is site design. This is about purposefully minimizing soil disturbance and managing stormwater and wildlife impacts. And step 3 is site development and construction, where you execute the build while actively minimizing waste, runoff, and hazardous materials. It's a highly comprehensive life cycle approach. Which brings us to our final lingering thought. How will the homes of the future balance community growth with ecological survival? As we've seen through the SASB standards today, managing ecological impacts is absolutely no longer a peripheral environmental initiative. It is the ultimate business imperative for the modern home builder. Mastering this balance is exactly how builders protect their bottom line, secure their market share, and build the resilient communities of tomorrow.